Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Psycho's Platters and a CD for you Englishly speaking challenges tres episodos. Now, before I get into this, I got a couple shout-outs I want to talk about here over the last couple weeks. Firstly, I want to make a shout-out to Paniques1960 for leaving his lovely comment on my last episode. Seriously, thank you for the comment, and I thank you for being added as a subscriber. Here's what I'd like, though. Would you please tell me more about the Foghat and Aerosmith shows you went to in 1980 and any of the other shows that you happened to see? Because, I mean, even though, both of those bands were slightly out of their prime, they still were putting out good material, even if the lineups were a little different. And I'm also kind of curious about especially that 1980 Aerosmith show, considering that Joe Perry and Brad Whitford were no longer with them, and you had Rick DeFay and Jimmy Crespo. I'm kind of curious to see, if you remember any of that stuff. That and the Foghat and anything else you know. And lastly, I made an error in the first episode. I brought up that my friend had an account named T-Mex59, T-M-E-C-S 59. I was wrong, kids. Turns out that one doesn't work. It's actually T-M-E-C-S 1959. Oops. Sorry, I'll admit my mistakes. It's Tim Smith, my buddy from up north. Really, really good. Let's get to the vinyl. What did I find for the first batch of my randomness? Giant. Yeah, I bet you never heard of these guys, and neither did I. I happened to find this thing at a thrift shop, okay, 1978 on an MCA subsidiary label. Let me see if I can pull this out here to show you. I have never even seen this label. It's LA Records, which is a subsidy of MCA. Pretty decent shape, too. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, I like to find things that I've never, ever heard before. It's called self-discovery in music. You know how it is. That's how your musical umbrella continues and grows in the storms of life. Well, first of all, let me tell you, this lineup on here is pretty amazing in all things considered. Okay, produced by Greg Arrico. Greg Arrico happened to be one of a drummer to this particular guitarist that's labeled next, Carlos Santana. Yeah, that's right. Santana wasn't busy enough. He did this. You've got 3 of his sidemen, and also, let's see, who else? Lee Oscar from War plays harmonica on this, and he's harmonica extraordinary. He's on tons of sessions. And that's right, Greg Raleigh and Neil Sean. So you got former Santana people, current Journey people that cram themselves into doing this. I'm telling you, look for it on YouTube. You will not actually be disappointed. The sound on that is really good. To go from that to Canadian bands. You know 10 Canadian bands? Do you? Do you? I bet you don't. We're going to come up with a music quiz someday for that, but until then, here's one of my favorites, Saga. Yeah, that's right, Worlds Apart, from 1982, with my favorite track on here, On the Loose. They ended up being a 2-hit wonder in America, and Cats with Claws was the next album after this, on the lovely Upside Down Portrait label. Very clean condition, which happened to be the label to who else? Cyndi Lauper and, anybody out there? Orion the Hunter from '84. How about that? Yeah, that's right. I know a lot of music geekness stuff. The band's still around. Michael Sadler, the lead singer that disappeared for a couple of years, he's back. The band's making a new album. In fact, it may be done as far as I know. Hugely popular in Canada. Okay, what's the next thing? 35 years ago. Couldn't forget this. This guy died. This wasn't right. He died in a car accident. Mark Bolan from T.Rex, ladies and gentlemen. Electric Warrior album. One of the best. It's got Cheapster, Bang a Gong, Get It On, Life's a Gas. Come on. You're talking glam rock with boogie as hell in it. On the original Reprise, Upside Down. Beautiful condition. Got this next to nothing. What else does Paul have up his sleeve? Here's a band that's been going since 1966. Savoy Brown. With Kim Simmons, yes, you know who I'm talking about. This is Firewire. Okay, Fire. Can't talk today. From 1975. I don't know if it's on CD. Try to listen to it on YouTube. Grab the vinyl if you can. It's actually good mid-70s Savoy piece. You don't have your classic lineup, which was original Point of Fog had, but you know what? You got Paul Raymond from UFO. He's on here doing keyboards. And Dave Bidwell, which I know that name sounds familiar, and I cannot place it at the moment, doing drums. You've heard a lot of 80s supergroups. Lots of 80s supergroups. But you know what? This band had a lot of high hopes. But they unfortunately only made 2 albums and magically disappeared in 1986. That's right, The Firm. The Firm. Who's in The Firm? Quick quiz. All right, I'll tell you who's in The Firm. Paul Rodgers from Bad Company. Jimmy Page from Zeppelin. Zeppelin! Tony Franklin. Okay. He was a bassist extraordinaire. Came and did other different things and ended up, after this, he went into, what did he go into? Oh, Blue Murder. We'll talk about them another day. And Chris Slade, former Manfred Mann drummer, and Uriah Heep drummer. Yeah, that's right. He was in both of those bands. He would leave this band and go to AC/DC after the Firm broke up. Radioactive, really, really cool song on here. I don't really care for You've Lost That Love and Feeling because, well, you know what? Righteous Brothers did it best. Satisfaction Guaranteed, another good one. Midnight Moonlight. Truth on that particular track, it was how should I say, it's an unfinished Led Zeppelin song called The Swan Song from 1974. So, Page decided to do something. Foreigner. There's not a good day, or should I say a day that goes out without hearing Foreigner. I love this band. I do. This, you know, these guys were power pop to the extreme, you know. I don't care. Lou Gramm had a kick-ass voice. Mick Jones, okay, formerly of Spooky Tooth. When are you going to hear me mention Spooky Tooth in a sentence with Foreigner? On guitar, Dennis Elliott on drums from Ian Hunter, and a bunch of other people. This is the last album that had all 6 members. Ian McDonald from King Crimson, and a bunch of other people. I think Rick Wills from Small Faces ends up on this one too. What are we talking about? Dirty White Boy. Oh, I love Dirty White Boy. Women's actually a good B track on here. Head Games is my favorite, but Rev on the Red Line. Another good one. Rev on the Red... I can't sing like him. Lastly, guys, Alice Cooper, 1978, From the Inside. You know, this is a lost gem of his, I gotta tell you. This is the album he made in the insane asylum when he was trying to dry out from booze the first time. I like this album for many things. They must have spent a lot of money on the budget on this. As you can see, it's supposed to be everybody, pretty much the characters that are mentioned in the particular album. That's your front. Your back. Look, it's the doors to the place with your song titles, right? He's got his release papers. And I got to tell you, seriously, From the Inside, I really love that song. Let's see, what's another one? Nurse Rosetta's kind of weird. Jackknife Johnny's definitely weird. How Are You Gonna See Me Now? Very tearjerker on this. So who's on here? Well, how about 2/3 of Toto? Yeah, 2/3 of Toto. You got Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, Kiki D, Marcy Levy from Eric Clapton's band, all on here. Get it, it's on CD. And lastly, my CD of the week, Best of 10cc, Donna, Rubber Bullets, Wall Street Shuffle, I'm Not in Love. Currently in England, 10cc, touring with only one original member, Graham Gouldman. If they come over here, go see it. I heard it's pretty good. Till next week, kids, keep on rocking. Wah!